Well, let's welcome Tony Gardner, President of iRacing. And he's here just to field our questions, and so we're going to have a good time with this. Tony, we have 45 minutes to an hour, whatever you need. Shorter, or longer, either way. So we can. We're just playing it by ear. I really appreciate you guys coming. And we really appreciate the support iRacing's given the event. We thank you guys very much.
Well, thanks, Ian, and thanks for hosting. This is awesome. So I wish we could have something like this up in New England. But thanks to all you guys for being members. I assume most of you guys are members, and thanks for letting me do a job that I love to do. So without you guys, there would be no iRacing. So thanks, and thanks again, Ian. This is awesome. Glad to be here. Sorry I brought the snow with me from New England, but. So feel free to ask me any questions. If I don't know the answer, I'll make up something that sounds halfway decent, I hope. Anyway.
All right, so the big question I think everyone wants to know is transition as far as the racetrack, the skybox, the new updated damage models, parts will be coming off. Is there any time frame on when this stuff will be coming, if it will be?
There's about 4 years of work right there. Yeah, it's hard, you know, I'm going to say the same thing you guys, soon. No, yeah, where's the picture? Soon picture. Yeah, the clock picture. You mentioned several things there, but you know, this isn't new news. We're working on a lot of big projects. A new track surface model is probably the closest thing. It won't be in the build. We'll be doing a build. What's today? Thursday. We're doing a build next Wednesday, right? The build will be next Wednesday. But the closest thing is a track surface model, which I think guys in this room will really like because, and I hope that will be ready in June. I'm not sure about that, but just guessing on the timing. And what is a new track surface model? It's you know, so the track surface will be heating up, cooling down, so the race will be very dynamic. Every race will be different. Rubber will be building up, so it'll add a lot of strategy to the race. The lines will keep changing, just like in the real world. Rubber will be building up, grime will be building up, and whatnot. So it's going to be really cool. I think we're pretty excited about that. So I didn't know what other questions you were asking.
So that includes dynamic weather, I guess?
No, that's totally different. Dynamic weather, we're trying to finish our DX11 upgrade because we would literally have to almost do it twice. Or do that portion of it twice. So we decided to finish DX11 first, and then we'll do hopefully that's the game plan. Is to then it shouldn't be an awful project for us. We could already move the sun, move clouds right now. We could have a 24-hour race right now, move the sun and stuff like that, and have it just turn into night. But we don't want to half-ass it. We want all the shadows to look the right way. We want to do it the right way. We could have done that 5 years ago, but we haven't got to that point yet. So we want to do it the right way. So anyway, go ahead.
Are you ever going to have it where you have individual iRating for the car classes?
I don't know. I don't know. We might. I understand that we've done a lot of research. We've talked about it a ton. So we know for a lot of people that would be a good thing. It would be a big project, and it would be pretty confusing to new people as well. So there's pros and cons to that, but it's something it's on the list to think about for sure. But we're not. Yeah, we know all about it. We're not working on it to answer your question. And if I could snap my fingers and choose that, I'd probably go in that direction. But I don't see that being done anytime soon. Go ahead.
Why would McLaren tell you anything and they won't tell any of the other Formula One teams anything?
Good question.
Tony, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, he was asking why would McLaren give us data? And I don't know. That's a good answer. I'm going to guess they're not going to give us. I'm going to guess they're going to give us 1 year back. And they're giving us the current data probably, but by the time we release the car, it's already going to be dated. I wasn't in the meeting, so I know we already have the CAD data for McLaren in the office.
All those teams are so secret.
Yeah, it is amazing. It's a level of trust. I mean, we've been partners with them for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, and they trust us with the information, and they should, so we're very protective of it. And I think probably, I don't know what they're going to give us exactly, but enough to build the car, so it's a good question. Yeah, go ahead in the back.
All right, for most of the leagues, what is the holdup on multiple cars per class? The guys who do it, we did Daytona 24. Those of us who run leagues, we have multiple cars in one class for multi-class racing. It's a pain. How can y'all open that up for the rest of us?
So the question is hosted multi-class racing.
Yeah, multiple cars per class. Okay, take the Daytona 24 we just ran.
Yep.
We had HPD and all the GT3 cars in one class, and the system scored them separately. The way we scored them is 2 classes and not 5 different ones. But we can't do that in hosted or on leagues. We have to run them all as an individual class.
Yeah.
Obviously, the feature's there, but you don't use it.
Yeah, it's not there. It's a project that's on our list. So it's a significant project involving it's involving software engineering, web engineering, and our database team. So if we could, it's not flipping a switch. It's a project, and it's we know about it. It's on our list. So we just haven't gotten to it to answer your question. Sorry about that.
Aston Martin, this build, next build?
It won't be in this build. We hope the Aston Martin. It's going to be a GT1 car. Will be the first Aston Martin car we do, and that will race against the Corvette in a single class as far as official racing. But that's the first Aston Martin car we'll be doing, and it's coming along nicely. It's a cool car. So.
Potential to add the LMP1 part with all the modern systems that you're modeling with the McLaren and all-wheel drive with the roof.
He's asking for another LMP1 car. That would be nice. It's sort of in the longer-term plan. We're not working on it right now, but that would be nice. So, right here.
How has the steam involvement helped with, I guess, participation?
Yeah, he's asking about Steam, how that's going. We launched Steam, sort of off the record. I'm looking for the right word, but we haven't been featured yet by Steam. So it's sort of it's worked well. I think we've added about 700 members. We're adding about 15 members a day through Steam. There's still some integration to do before we want to be. Steam is going to feature us. We want to put up a 1-month subscription, a 1-year subscription. We want to get the Steam keys so iRacing members can go ahead, and if they're also Steam members, they're iRacing members, they can get the features from Steam as an iRacing member. Until we get that done, we're very close. A lot of the holdup is frankly on the Steam side. We're just waiting for them to do their we're ready to go. They have to turn some switches on for us, and I think that we'll get a lot more members from Steam. But that said, even though we're not featured, we just have a 6-month membership. We're adding about 15 to 20 members a day through Steam, so we're pretty happy with that. I think there was one back here, and they'll get to you again. Yep.
Is there any plan to deploy a server in Brazil this year?
Say that one more time.
Is there any plan to deploy a server in Brazil this year? Because I've seen a test server last year.
Oh, did you say another server farm?
Brazil, yeah.
Yeah, Brazil. Yep, that's in the plans. We've done our homework. We have a company picked out. We would probably only run that. That is the plan. We'll have another server farm in Brazil. We hope this year. The plan is that we'll probably just use that for hosted racing for a while, and we'll see how it goes. That's our initial plan. I don't know if It's just, I don't think it's going to work. There's pros and cons to having all these server farms for official racing, as everyone in this room probably knows. So, but that is the plan, yes. Right here.
Why can't we share setups within the servers between the different manufacturers, like for the Gen 6, between, you know, Ford and Chevy and stuff like that?
It's the problem is the naming convention, as I understand it. We've talked about ways to be able to share it in sim. You know, that's another project we'd like to do. He's asking about the ways to share cars like the Gen 6 cars who have the same physics. We'd like to make that easier, is a short answer. Go ahead.
Did you have the BMW? You thought about adding the Mini?
Have we thought about adding the Mini? Yes, and the answer is no. No, no. I don't know, Otto. We talked about adding the BMW Mini. I haven't heard many conversations about that. Why do you want it?
I did. Our packer, a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, some of those definitely would like to get some more production cars. I mean, it's fun. It's definitely fun racing. Go ahead, right here.
My question is around leagues.
Yes.
I was under the impression from Otto last year that you're a big league guy, that you're an advocate for the leagues and the whole league feature.
Yeah, I am.
We haven't seen really any upgrades to the league stuff in quite a long time.
You're not looking hard enough.
Well, I've used that very extensively for
Right.
a while, and the whole point system structure within that is useless for most league features.
Right.
The ability to communicate in there is really cumbersome.
Right.
Not easy to use, and the stats and stuff like that. So, in order to run a league and to be able to efficiently communicate, put out your information for stats and points and that kind of stuff, you have to have some kind of an external kind of thing. The money that we spend to run those websites, to keep our forums and keep track of points and all that kind of stuff, I would much rather give it to you than to GoDaddy or any of that other kind of stuff. Is there a way that you guys can give us some of that stuff and make that more comprehensive so we can use iRacing for that stuff and not have to go to an external website?
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty, he's asking about league scoring and all that good stuff. Yeah, that's something we've talked about. It's a big project, and there's issues with storing data and caching data, and being, you know, the top priority is always to keep the website running as fast as, you know, as smoothly as we can and never go down, despite what happened a couple weeks ago. But that's a big project as well. We'd definitely like to do that. We don't want people to ever leave iRacing. We want it to be a one-stop shop, exactly as you said. So it's just a lot of work there, a lot of things to do, a lot of things to think about, and absolutely.
Is that the same thing with the being able to host a tournament function kind of thing within our league stuff instead of having the hosting section? Because that creates all kinds of problems that the league stuff actually solves by being able to create who can actually join the server by being in the league, control numbers that the drivers are using.
Right.
You can control that within the league, but when you go to the hosting sessions, you can't necessarily control that.
Right.
You can't do a tournament type
Right.
underneath the league.
Right. Yeah. It's pretty complicated, the tournament functionality. Trying to combine that with the league functionality. So again, just too large, complicated, a lot of work. You'll hear me say that over and over again. So doing our best.
Okay.
Yeah, in the back here.
So piggyback on the hosted, any plans for individual driver weight penalties instead of by car?
Yep. Yeah, there's plans for that. That's again, it's a engineering project, and we need to utilize, you know, certain engineers to do that project that know the guts of how that works. It's pretty complicated. That's definitely on our radar, and definitely would like to do that. And it's on our list. Yeah, on the way back here.
Go along that, is the plan to move more balanced power options, like instead of adding weight to one car, be able to restrict horsepower?
Yeah, like we have a list of things like that. It's similar to that, as you just said, to be able to do that, to give the admin more power, to be able to balance the race, add horsepower, things like that. Yeah, I mean, there's different ways to go about that. We've talked about kind of opening that up in general to people as an option, but we'll see where we go with that.
I'm probably one of the few people here that even drive this series, but the View Supercar series.
Yeah.
You guys recently added the Car of the Future, both the whole and the Ford, but I think the iRacing first kicked in as soon as you guys released the Ford. Within the week, I think the real series released the FGX, the one you guys released that came outdated. Is there any plans to update the body paneling? That's the same chassis, but just different looks.
Yeah, I mean, we're always it'll get in the queue. I'm sure we'll update that at some point.
And also, on that series, is there any other plans to add the other manufacturers, Nissan, Mercedes, and Volvo, in the big series?
We could do that at some point. We actually do have licenses with both those groups that we haven't come up with a car yet, though. And it probably won't be the first Mercedes car we'd release, but anyway.
A lot of this stuff is kind of micro incremental development type questions. Where is iRacing going to be in 5 years or 10 years?
I don't know. I hope we're here, and we plan on being here. But
surely a business plan is more
yeah.
sophisticated than just going to keep upgrading these things one at a time.
No, yeah, it definitely is more sophisticated, but I don't, probably not a good venue for me to talk about a 5-year plan, but there definitely is one. The work, the options never stop. You obviously have multiple platforms out there. There's all different types of racing out there. But there's all sorts of things we can do that you guys all want, but it's all part of the plan in the long run.
As loyal subscribers, you mean allow us to be involved in the IPO?
No, there's no plan for that. Yeah.
So, one of the things, everybody's asking you, you want this, you want this, you want this. As a computer company with database, with graphics, all this other stuff, how many engineers, how many people do you, does iRacing have working? That might help us to understand how.
Yeah, we have 45 full-time employees. Almost all of them are technical.
Yeah, that takes a while.
And then we probably have another 10 contractors full-time that are mostly in the art side, 3D artists, 2D artists, but it depends what you define an engineer, but we have probably 12 software engineers, 4 or 5 web engineers, a couple database engineers, production people, artists, et cetera, but we have more resources now than we've ever had. We've hired 4 engineers in the last year, additional headcount software engineers. It's just that some of these projects these guys are working on, they last 2, 3, 4 years. Unfortunately, that's the nature of what we do. And it just takes a real long time. So people say, we want this, we want this. And it's hard for me to say, oh, we've been working on that for 2.5 years, what you're asking for, but that's the reality we live in. Anyway.
Well, somebody already asked it. Are we going to see DX11 this year?
Yeah, you should see that this year. The question is, will we see DX11? I shouldn't promise anything, but if I had to bet my life on it, yeah, or guess, the answer is yes. Yes. I would, yeah.
I wouldn't want you to do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet my life on it, but we should have DX11 this year. Darren?
You mentioned some issues you guys had a couple weeks back. I'm assuming you were talking about the Daytona 500.
Yeah.
Have you guys figured out what that was and made any changes to alleviate that problem?
Yeah, we did figure out what that problem was, which had nothing to do with the Daytona 500. It had to do with a hosted race going on at the same time where there were something like 8 they assigned 8. We have no limits on the admins in a hosted race. and these admins kept doing these weird calls, and our system, our database wasn't returning the call the way it should. It was all on the website, so it had nothing to do with the Daytona 500, but it crashed the system. So we fixed that little problem, but you know, we've been working on we've been working on this very issue. I mean, there's nothing more important to us than having a stable site. We should really have everything cached in iRacing. You know, I'm not technical about website protocols. Everything should be cached. We should never be trying to give live data to people. And we still do, and we've been working for the last 3 years trying to cache everything. So when we do web calls, it's always going to get cache data and things like that. So we did fix that problem. If you look in the long run, because we track how we crash, when we crash, we have been getting a lot better. People don't realize that, but there's always these little small things that sometimes can get you. That was just terrible timing when we crashed. It had nothing to do with the race. The week before, we had, I don't know, 3,000 people in the Rolex 24, and there was no problems at all. I mean, that Daytona race only had 700 people. That's nothing for us. So it had nothing to do with the race, just really bad timing. Anyway.
Was that related to, remember, last year when you had the Indy 500 and Charlotte race?
Yeah, no, it was, you know, that was another problem, so they weren't related. So we fixed that problem, and we try to load test best we can, and it's hard to mirror the exact type of testing we need to do with 55,000 people hammering it. So anyway, that's probably why Netflix doesn't have an 8 o'clock movie. I mean, that's what we're effectively trying to do, is say, hey, the movie starts at 8 o'clock, everyone in the world come in. It has nothing to do with buying server farms. If it was that, if I could just throw money at it, we do throw money at it, but that's not what the problem is. It's it's very technical. We need to move away from our web software that divides people up, called WebSphere, and go to another platform. So it's pretty technical. I'm not the one to talk about it, to be honest.
So you've had trouble with tracks in the past. Long Beach, for example, being able to fully finish that track because of how much data needs to be loaded, but you are able to come out with the Nordschleife later this year.
Right.
What makes that track different than Long Beach, which is a significantly smaller track?
He's asking about Long Beach. Long Beach has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the amount of work, and we just decided not to do it yet. It has the trackside objects are what really slows us down, and that just has so many trackside objects that we just haven't gotten to it yet.
Okay.
So it has nothing to do with performance.
Okay.
Yep. Back here.
Question about the IndyCar series. The question is,
Oh no, an IndyCar guy.
yes, the only guy. Many of the tracks, Chicagoland comes to mind, Michigan, where IndyCars, their rules, you don't run off the tracks, NASCAR does. Is there any way where you, and the majority of the community just like running off the track, but sometimes you're forced to do that. So is there any way they can fix that where you get black flag or anything for going against the rules?
Yeah, you're talking about running down on the apron in different series.
Chicagoland?
Yeah, we really should. We really should. We've talked about it very recently. We really should start black flagging people that run down the apron. We kind of talked about this. I talked about the track surface project. We're part of our thinking is if you start, once we come out with that, the new track surface, you're going to be running down there and hitting dirt and gravel, and it's not going to be good for your car. So that's probably going to help that issue of people running down there on the apron when they shouldn't be. But we really should. I guess we went back and forth. Probably the only answer there is to start black flagging people, and which is a race control project for us, which isn't a big deal. But go ahead.
The other complaint the IndyCar community has in the fixed series, burning down gas prior to qualifying.
Right.
Is there any way to limit in the fixed series, just give 2 gallons of gas for qualifying, whatever it may be, to stop it? Because you can practice all day long and get a good count on your line, then somebody sits there for 2 minutes running down gas. It's just a trick of the system.
Right. Yeah, yeah. He's asking about limiting the gas in qualifying. Right now, we can't change. You know, we can't have the gas amount of gas in qualifying be different than the race in an official session. So we can't do that right now. We did move the qualifying down to 5 minutes for IndyCar. So you better not sit there too long and try to run that gas down, or you're not going to get a lap in. So we moved the qualifying session down to 5 minutes to try to help with that for this coming season. Yeah, that might not get you a flying lap there in some tracks. Anyway.
Yeah, back to the flag issue, I don't know if you know, there's a real problem in the oval circuit, you know, as far as getting black flag, you know, passing under yellow after a wreck. It doesn't seem to get hashed out sometimes. Actually, a lot of times these penalties are really not, they're not the correct penalty. I mean, well, I don't, you know, I mean, there's just an issue. It seems like if people do certain things, you get black flag for something you had no control over.
Right.
And I think I don't know anything, but the timing loop, like for example, the other night, the guy was ahead of me when he went into the pit, like he was supposed to be, but I still got black flags for passing him under yellow. And I think it was, I don't know why that incident happened, but.
Right. How many times has it happened to you?
It happens, you know, not all the time, but
right.
The yellow thing does happen.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple. We know there's a couple black flag, they're bugs, and they're really hard to reproduce. They don't happen very often, and we can't, you know, to be honest with you, we can't figure out why they're happening. They're hard to reproduce. You know, if those things happen, you know, try to provide us all the information. There's one bug that we've been working on we just can't. It's hard to reproduce. It only happens once in a great while. And we just haven't been able to figure it out. It's just a software bug.
There's a routine. I mean, how would I go about, like you said, to provide you with if an incident happened like that?
You want to provide us the log, the replay of the log.
Okay.
You can send it to me, and I'll get it to the right people. But we probably know about it. There's one or two bugs that we're having trouble figuring out. We're working on them though. Yeah, right here.
A question about the relative window when you're coming out of the pits. Is there any thought on changing the color of someone who is also coming out of the pits with you, but they're not stationary? Because sometimes it looks like I'm going to pull out and there's somebody 0.5 seconds, 0.05 seconds behind me. And I'm thinking he's on the track when he's actually behind me. He's still coming out of pit road.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, there's more things we could do there. You know,
sometimes stop.
Yeah, stop. He's not really there.
He's not out there. He's behind me.
Yeah, you know, that's tricky. It's the net code. There's more things we could do there, but.
Just wondering if anybody else that.
No, yeah, it has been. So.
With the new McLaren F1 coming, is there plans to make a fixed Formula One series?
A fixed Formula One series. Sure, we'll do whatever people want.
Just because, I mean, I know with you pretty much have to be like a rocket scientist.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think a lot of those open wheels are really hard, and you know, 30 or 40 people can really dial those things in, and they're probably the loudest, most verbal people in the forum saying, if we try to do fix, they go wild. And you know, those cars who has time, you know, most people don't have time to really dial those cars in. I'm with you. I think we should. I think we should. Because that, you know, the F1 car right now is not very popular for most people. Most people just don't have the time or the skill or whatever to dial. They're not race engineers, and you almost have to be. I agree with you. We should do that.
Well, I haven't followed recently or researched it. It's probably been covered already. But the Nordschleife, it's confirmed, I guess, and when it's coming, and then you elaborate on how you think it's going to be accepted and used throughout the community, team racing, and just general, like why you. I don't have any information on it, but.
Yeah, it's, you know, we're super excited about it. It's one of the most famous tracks in the world. A lot of people say it's the best track in the world. We were over there in Germany, Otto and I, this fall. It's awesome. So we're, you know, the European community is really stoked about it. We'll definitely do some endurance racing on it. It's an F1 circuit too, so you know, we'll definitely do a lot of different types of racing on it. I'm sure it's going to be a mainstay in a lot of the series out there. So it'll be used a lot of different ways, I'm sure. I don't know all the configurations, but there's a lot of different configurations you can do with it. So I'm sure it's going to be very popular. Right here.
You mentioned a lot about projects that you guys are working on.
Right.
How much of your resources are being taken up on the new builds every 13 weeks? Maybe if you put a pause on those, maybe you'd have more time to finish the big projects.
Would you guys like us to do that?
No.
There's your answer. No, it's a good. It does waste probably. I don't know. It does waste 3 or 4 weeks a year though, because you kind of, rather than keep engineering, you kind of stop and get the build ready, and our software engineers get involved in the build process, and they get, you know, they're worried about their piece rather than continuing to do R&D. They're stopping to do the build. So it probably wastes a little bit of development time, to be sure. But I think that's one thing that's cool about iRacing, and as a customer, is, you know, it's something coming every 4 months, and I think there's something to be said for that. In a way, you could also argue it helps us too, because we get it out there faster, we learn things, we fix things. So you could argue we make back those 4 weeks by, there's no better testers than you guys. So we learn from that, and we, you know, so I, you know, maybe we make it up that way too. We talk about that. So anyway, go ahead.
What stage is the tire model at as far as being nearly finished?
I don't know that it'll ever be finished. He's asking about the tire model. It's getting close though. We were going to put. There's no change in the tire model in this build. There's a big change. David, I don't know if he's in here. There's a big change to the suspension system. Every car's got new suspension, new springs, and there he is, David, over there. If you saw his seminar earlier, so that was a big change. And as we were just finishing that, we did have a nice improvement to the tire model. But we didn't want to, we could, as David will tell you, who's an alpha tester, we couldn't drop both of those in. We would have never figured out the cars. So as soon as we release this build, we have a tire, a big update to the tires is going into alpha after the build. So hopefully you'll see something in June. And, you know, Dave's he's working 10 hours a day. That's all he's doing. So, it's, you know, there's about 3 or 4 different things he'd like to make better. The tire wear, the heat, just sort of still that icy feel. I'm not going to talk for him, but things that everyone's talking about, those are the things that he's working on. And it's one of those things that's 95% of the way there, but the last 5% is going to make a big difference. So. Go ahead.
I'm wondering how you guys look at the whole race center concept these days. I know the one in Fremont, guys I know didn't do a good job of keeping theirs up and running. So I'm wondering if it's less of an interest to you guys these days, or things that have been learned that can help somebody work a startup on with iRacing.
Yeah, we could take it off. He's asking about race centers. We could take it offline. You know, that's great. There's race centers. I think there's this. Take this offline, but I think there's a business there. And it's probably a market. Some markets it'll do well, and some markets it probably wouldn't. But probably wouldn't do well where we're from. This seems like this would be a good market, for example. But we have no business interest. We want to support the people that do have race centers. We do that. We don't have any business interests ourselves in opening up race centers, though. If that's the question.
Do you see it as something that helps promote iRacing?
Absolutely.
I mean, if
yeah.
it's done properly,
Yeah, any exposure. I would, yeah, absolutely. We definitely, that's why, we fully encourage other people to do it. But, and we want to support them any way we can. It seems like in Europe, the race centers do well. There's been a lot of successful models over there. But here it's sort of a mixed bag of people that have done well and people that haven't. Mr. Main?
Can you go into more detail about what we can expect from the
I have seen it. I mean, if you do a side-by-side and you look at a track in DX9 and DX11, it's definitely looks prettier. That's about all I can say. It's a performance thing. To us, the big thing with DX11 is it's something to get out of the way so we can move on to the other graphical projects that we want to do. And it also gives us the ability to do those graphical projects. So to us, it's a new graphics engine that gives us more ability, more power, make things look better. So that's why it's exciting to us. To us, when we roll out DX11, we're not expecting everyone to start, going crazy. You probably won't notice much. Increased performance, and things will look a little sharper, a little cleaner. But that's really just step one. It's a big, huge upgrade from DX9 to DX11. DX12 is releasing, I guess, with the next version. But from DX12 will be part of that, the new operating system for Microsoft. But that's not a big change. From DX11 to DX12 is as I understand, it's pretty minor. But this is a massive change. We're trying to do an OpenGL upgrade too, which is another graphics engine at the same time. So anyway.
Are we gonna, or anytime soon, the cup cars are getting the track bar adjustment in car? Guys.
David, do you want to take that question?
In-car track bar adjustment.
Yeah. We don't even have pit road track bar adjustment. We can't go into our first. The reason why I'm told that we don't have track bar adjustment is because right now the track bar is seen by the sim as one unit. It's not seen as two separate units, left and right track bar. That's the reason why when you raise the track bar or lower the track bar, it will lower or raise the right wheel, the right front, or left front corner. Because that solid unit does the car this way.
Right.
So that's the reason why I'm told that it's not.
I just brought that up because I knew that was part of the new NASCAR package.
True.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we can do that right now. Either one in the back there.
Real quick, I noticed you guys have said that you guys are working on new audio for the engine sound. First of all, is that going to be across all the cars, and just limited cars, and also when do they plan on rolling that out?
Yeah, we're I think there might be some new engine sounds in this build, like the tires going over gravel, some additional new sounds. But there's also a project going on. It's one of those things that I said, hey, this thing's going on for 3 years. There's another project going on. One of our engineers is it's the main focus to come up with a whole new sound engine. We've started, to be honest with you, we started twice on sound engines, worked on it for several months, and didn't like where it was going and stopped. And we've got a renewed path on that, and we're excited about where that's going. So I have no idea when that's going to be finished because it's a big project. All the way back there.
All right, Ferrari. Still actively trying to come to an agreement with them?
Yeah, we talk to them once in a while. We have a relationship. They're just it's been out of our price range so far, just to be blunt. Yeah. The thing too is, I'm not, the thing about that is it's not modern cars either for the most part. So you're talking about more vintage Ferrari cars and things like that. Yeah, Yep, for a really big check, you are. You know, there's some other things we haven't announced yet that are pretty cool coming, so right now that's not one of them. We talked to them, and we have a good relationship with them, so that's not the issue. We've been to Italy. We've sat across the table from them, so that's not the problem. We had a deal worked out. We just decided not to sign on the dotted line right as of yet. Maybe someday. Yeah, that's we have a good relationship with them too. I'll leave it at that. We talk to them too. Yeah.
Are there any plans to improve the graphical interface? I know part of the challenge is you don't want to upset the community, do anything extreme. You don't want it to look like a console title. But for me, I can change setups in other sims where I can see things more visually, like sliders and ranges.
Right.
Are there any plans? Like I like to see a ratio.
Yeah, we
represented.
Yeah, exactly. We don't like our interface. It's dated. It's not modern looking. And we're working on that's another project that's going on for quite a long time. A whole new look. In fact, you know, we talked about stability, and one of the things is almost separating. We want to separate the website from the sim. So the sim will be an application that'll just launch. And the idea is, if everything else goes, I mean, any of the crashes we've ever had, it's because of the website. It's not because the sim ever crashes. And so the idea is you want to, you know, I'm not technical again, but you won't notice it, but we're separating basically the sim from the website, and then the sim will launch as a standalone application. So if all else fails, you're going to get into your 9 o'clock race. And as part of that, we're doing a whole new user interface. It's going to look totally different. In fact, in the build next week, you'll see a pretty big change to the old website. That's just a stopgap, but you're going to see, you know, 4 big buttons. It's going to look different when you log on. You're going to see 4 big buttons. It's going to say, you know, race, practice. You know, it's just going to be more intuitive to get in and race, especially if you're somebody new. So there's a big push for us to try to be conscious of, we don't do this well, somebody that's new to sim racing, to come in and know what to do and have a good first experience. Your first 15 minutes is really important, and we don't do a great job of that right now. So there's a big push to try to do a better job at that.
And the setups. But you're going to work
exactly.
In the end game.
In the end game, make things, yeah, exactly. The end game is to make things a lot more simple, a lot more modern.
I just like more, I can work faster.
Yeah. It's going to be more visual, much more visual. You know, we already have our designs all done. Now we're doing the work. We've picked a middleware program to help us do that, et cetera, et cetera. So that project's well underway. I don't know when it's going to be done.
How's the progress on the animated pit crew?
Yeah, somebody probably saw some screenshots of that. Good. It's like everything, you know, so we kind of got the animation done, and now we have to do the race control part of it. So it goes from this engineer to the design guys. Now it's going to our race control engineer. He does his thing. So it's a whole process, and so now we get the race control part done, and then we come back and we do our final tweaks and polishing. So that's where that's at. It's a lot of the animation is done. We have a full working NASCAR pit crew. And then we're kind of working on the roadside as well. That's a bit of a challenge with that project with so many different series. We're not focused on like other games where they're just worried about NASCAR or just worried about F1. We kind of got to worry about what a pit crew does for all different types of racing, sports car racing, et cetera. So the NASCAR one, the whole pit crew, kind of the animation part of it's done. It looks really cool. So, but I don't know when we're going to release it because we have to now do the race control, like I said, and everything else.
Are the new members that you're getting on a daily basis, is that keeping up with your attrition rate?
Yep. We've been growing by about 10,000 members a year, net members every year. So 8 to 10,000 on average. So yeah, thanks. So when we say 55,000, whatever, we're not lying. You know, it really is. You know, iRacing, we're doing well. We're profitable. We have been for 3 years now, and and we're doing well. We plan to be here a long time, and that's why we're hiring more engineers. Remember I said we're hiring more engineers, so we're investing back into the product. We want to move faster than we're moving, and it doesn't appear it. We really are moving faster than we ever have, but you just don't see the end result yet. Hopefully you'll start noticing that as time goes on. Yeah.
55,000, is that current members or is that just total?
Current active members that have a membership right now. We've had 130,000 people ever join iRacing, which you might say, well, that's really bad. That's actually incredibly good. If you talk to other game companies, it's incredible over, I don't know, 7 years that 130,000 people have joined iRacing and 55,000 are still members. When you think about, I mean, people have financial issues, computer issues, technical issues, or it's just not for them. But, if you get to 80% in a given year, you're going to lose, the studies say you're going to lose 20% no matter what. You could have the greatest thing in the world, you're going to lose 20% of the people because their computer died, they moved, just life gets in the way. So when we've told other people that, like people from the outside, consultants have come in, they just can't believe it. They want us to show them the numbers. So that's a pretty good number for us. It doesn't sound that great unless you understand the space. 130,000 people have ever joined iRacing, and we have 55,000 active members. So, anything else?
You guys do like side projects? Like I met a GM engineer that worked on a Corvette project, and he told me that you guys have worked with him on a separate deal that wasn't even, something that's part of iRacing.
Yeah, we do projects like that people don't know about. Yep.
That helps.
Yeah, it's a lot of times we get paid. Most of the time we don't. Most of the time it's we do something for somebody and they're more apt to share data with us. So we do a lot of things like that. We do other things like right now we just invest in this. It's called CFD. It's in layman's terms, we invested in it. It's a simulation for aero. So it's computational fluid dynamics, or I don't know what it's CFD. You guys probably know what it is more than I do, but we basically invested in a simulated aero package. So we'll be able to run our cars. We have to build our cars really, really precisely now and make sure there's no holes in the actual model. But we'll be running our cars through wind tunnels. Simulated wind tunnels, our actual cars, and getting the data just like you would in the real world. So rather than us going to wind tunnels with cars, which we've done in the past, we're going to have this model. We paid a lot of money for it and invested a lot into it. And right now we're testing the IndyCar in it. That'll be our first car that we're using the CFD model, which is we're just going to be able to move faster, the cars are going to be better. But that's just a small example of some of the things that that we might do that honestly I don't think that other people in this space do, and it helps us move faster as well. So we're investing in things like that, but it slows us down too to do things like that. So.
Any thought to qualifying for each official race instead of one hot lap in front of you, instead you do?
We can do that. We probably should do that for Oval. We'll have 5 different series that have the qualifying built into the right before the race. Yeah, you guys can do that right now. I can do that. The road guys know all about that. 5 road series will have that. The other thing we're doing, we talked about why we went down the Daytona 500. So another thing we're doing, which I think is a plus as well, is we're working on a project where you'll join a race and you'll just go right into practice. So now you join a race a half hour before an official race. So now when you join a race, you'll get dumped into a practice session for that race. You can join 1 minute before, but instead of going into open practice, waiting around, and then everyone flooding into the race the last minute, which isn't good for our website. Now what's going to happen is you'll join a race. You can still join the minute before, but when you join a race now, you'll go right into open practice rather than going back to an open practice, and then come back in. And we're doing that, again, it's a project for us to make our site more stable but I think that'll be funner to be in a practice session. And, you know, there will be no iRating, so during that session, so if you crash, it's not a big deal, but anyway.
What you're saying is that you are moving toward qualifying for the race?
We can do that, yeah, so we can do that, so you'll be able to have the open practice, but right now, you can go qualifying, you can have no practice, you could do a qualifying, practice, qualify, race. We already can do that right now for any series we want to. And I think, again, there'll be 5 series this build. We should do that with Oval. It kind of makes more sense to do that for Oval, to be honest with you. Go ahead.
Part of what you're saying right there, is it, if you get in practice, qualify, race, are we going to be able to stay within?
Yeah, so you'll stay. We already can do that right now, but I'm saying we could do that right now. We did it last season, the Star Mazda series. What I'm saying is the join process right now, you still have to wait till the race starts at 8 o'clock. So now, say there's a race at 8 o'clock. When you go to join at 7:30, it's going to dump you. Now you're in the sim. You're off our website. We're happy. We want you off the website. We want you in the sim. So now you're in the sim, and you go in at 7:30, and you're just running laps till your race starts at 8. You don't have to go in at 7:30. No, you're in. You're in. You stay in. Yeah, so we haven't finished that project yet, but it's going to, everyone will dump in so you'll be in this open practice with also, it just break you up how it wants to, but then right when the race starts, it's going to do what it does now. It's going to figure out everyone's iRating and put you in the splits. So nothing will change. You might be, yeah. It'll try not to do that. You know, it'll kind of figure out, you know, try to get you in the right group, but it'll definitely do another calculation at race time, and put you in the split that you would normally be in.
I think we got time for one more.
One more, okay. Go ahead. I think I already talked about that. Yeah, Aston Martin. We hope will be in. We hope. Don't. I never promise. We hope it'll be in the June build, a GT1 car. That'll be the first Aston Martin car we do. An Aston Martin GT1 car will race against a Corvette. Oh my God, I'm still on cloud 9. I know nobody likes the Patriots outside of New England, but anyway. All right, thank you, Sign. Appreciate it.
How many of y'all appreciated this?
Thank you guys.